Hey, Chris.
Hey, Donna, how you doing today?
I'm awesome.
That's good. Thanks for having me again on back in your very beautiful shop.
Thank you. No problem. My pleasure.
Most definitely, but I think almost like we in Chick-fil-A a little bit.
In Chick-fil-A?
They always say my pleasure at the end.
Oh. Do they?
Yeah, I think it's a conspiracy thing, but I guess they're trying to give good customer service.
Right. Okay.
Good customer service. So let's start into it. I want to ask you some questions about being a mother.
Okay.
I want to ask you, what is your definition of a good mother?
Wow, that's a great question. Being there for your child and doing your best to provide all of the comforts, that your child needs, and seeing your child smile as much as possible, because that's enjoying life when you see smiles. So to me, for all of my clients, but as well as my child, whenever I'm around them, I want to see them smile. My necklace.
There you go. It's kind of ducked in your shirt.
Still be wanting to do that because my titties do what they want to do. My titties suck shit in. You can't fight the big motherfuckers. You can lose weight, but them big sisters still gonna be sitting right there. I know.
Ready for action.
Ready. So we going east or west or south? Cause we ain't going north, goddamn. You gonna have a whole damn edited version of me talking shit after this.
Oh, trust me. I'm gonna have like a montage of outtakes of all three of the videos put together.
Right.
Okay.
You gotta be willing to laugh sometimes.
I know. That's a good thing. A lot of people don't laugh nowadays.
Exactly. Yeah. Some people, I think their faces got stuck mad. One of my clients coined the expression bitch face. And she said, I can't help it if I got the same face my mama had. We got bitch faces in my family. And I said, yeah, but your bitch face can smile.
Right.
And I realized when she said that, damn, I got a bitch face too, like if I'm not smiling, I can look like I have a bitch face, I look serious. I don't try to. I don't think most people who have a bitch face try to walk around going, I got a bitch on my face. But it's like, when we're thinking or we're in serious mode or we're in mommy mode, we're in panic mode, then we tend to have our straight faces on.
Right.
But that's why we all like going to comedy shows. That's the only way you go get that bitch to smile. Make her laugh,
Right.
I love my comedians, I love people who say things that, are kind of quirky or sarcastic.
Let me ask you, who's your favorite comedian?
Oh, wow. Who is my favorite comedian? That's so hard because I love comedy and I love comedians. I'm immediately going to Ricky Smiley and Eddie Griffin. Those are my two personal favorite comedians whom I've actually seen them perform live because I love them so much. And then, oh my gosh, like this other guy, he's a heavy set guy. I've got his shirt at home. He reminds me of Fat Albert. I cannot think of his name and I just love him. Inez, I think is his name. And how you say, he's a heavy set black guy. He's hilarious on stage.
Okay, do you consider yourself a comedian?
I consider myself to be someone with quite the personality, but I'm not a comedian. I'd probably be more of an actress than a comedian.
Oh, I believe that's it, because you are Donna.
I am Donna. You know, I got all the hair to go along with all my personalities.
Most of it, but you know something I'd like you to do. Tell me, walk me through some of your hairstyle, because we got this one over here. Okay, walk me through these some again.
Okay, so this is a crochet wig, the first one that's burgundy there, and that one is one that was done here at Salon Selections. This next one here is just a shorter quick weave version of a wig.
Okay.
This one here again is another quick weave version, but it's with curly hair. And here again, you got, this one's actually a wig. It's not a quick weave, but I love colors, so I love that green. It's something that's just different.
Quick question: what's a quick weave?
Okay, certain wigs are done with just glue. And some of them are done with needle and thread. So if I say quick weave, that means that it was done with glue. So I did it real quick. It's a quick way to get a weave.
Oh, I got you.
Okay, now a sew-in, most people know, is going to take a few hours. So, this one would be sewn. And like that one, although I crocheted it, I'm tying it. So there's no thread or needle involved in it. So crocheting is one technique, quick weaving is one technique, sewing it in is one technique. So they're all different techniques to get different wig looks.
Oh.
Okay?
I got you.
So there's always that old expression, there's more than one way to skin a cat. There really is more than one way to get her on your head.
You never
you know?
I know some people glue. Tell me, how does oh my God, what do you call it when people like glue in a little part on top of the head? What do you call it?
A toupee?
How?
I do toupees. I should have brung one and brung the underside for you to see. But I do toupees. I do hair replacement.
Okay. Let me see this.
I actually love all the different things I do. Like this wig here, it actually has an opening in the front. I'm going to try to not knock it off. But right in the very front, you can see there's an opening. So, like if I wanted to leave some of my hair out right there in the front, it makes it look more natural. And then you can pull down your own little baby hairs or what have you with it. And like today, of course, like I love these long wigs like this one that are braid wigs, which, you know, we did this one here at Salon Selections as well. But I love these because it's so expensive to have your hair braided. You can spend $200 or more, and especially for the length that's on this particular braid wig. And you see I've got more over there. I've got a whole wig room in the back. Yes. But to me, if you're going to get braids on your actual hair braid extensions, usually when you take this hair down, you're just going to throw it in the trash. So after you're done with that style, if it's on your own hair, then you spent that $200 and you're never getting it back. But if you invest in a wig with that same length of hair on it, you'll have it for years.
Correct.
And you can put that wig on whenever you get ready. If you're having a bad hair day, or it's rainy, or you got a special church service and you just want to look nice. And that's why I have some long wigs, you know, for my going out ladies, and why I add in the shorter wigs. Because like myself, I get hot flashes. It's too hot for me to wear this long hair all the time. So sometimes I want to start with a shorter look, and I don't feel as wigged out per se.
I got you. Well, I will do want to ask you one question. How did you manage to do that one right over there? The white one with the orange. The orange and white. That one. That one was an inner reflection of myself. That one. It's like a '90s style. You know, back in the day, we used to wear the spikes, and we would wear the wraps, and kind of remind me of the TLC days and the cross color days. I know you remember cross colors, so I'm like, imagine having on an orange and white with blue or green or something crazy back in cross color days, and having that orange and white hair. It's so cute and fun. Okay, well, that's the question. Is that like a big inspiration of why you want to do cosmetology?
No. Not whatsoever. My mother is a cosmetologist, so truly she was my biggest inspiration for doing hair. Growing up in the beauty shops and barber shops as a teenager, as a kid, you know. That was the biggest inspiration for me wanting to do hair. I never had a want to do hair. It just was kind of a natural thing.
Okay, so did you share a lot of special moments with your mom in those beauty shops?
Yes. I shared a lot of special moments with my mom in the shop, for sure. I'm thinking of a shop that used to be in Garland called Niecy's. And I'm thinking of Hill's beauty shop. They're both in Garland. I'm thinking of Stark's barber shop. But my mom worked at all three of those places. And each place I have my different memories. Niecy's, I remember we would get there at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and Miss Niecy would have already been there since like 4:30 or 5 that morning. And when we get there at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, she would have like 6, 7 people lined up under the hairdryer. Some of them sleep. Already. Just waiting to get in her chair to get their hair curl. But if they were under the hairdryer, that meant they'd already been shampooed. You know, but she get there early to utilize all the hair dryers and to try and get some of the ladies out earlier in the day, you know. But she stayed so busy. And I remember my Aunt Benita was the shampoo tech there. And there was a nail tech in that salon. And growing up in that particular salon, there was so much laughter and so much togetherness from Miss Shirley to Miss Linda, my mom, and, you know, all the stylists who worked under one roof. I remember them having big parties where it just be them hanging out playing cards or dominoes, and Miss Niecy might make a whole bunch of spaghetti. Now, all of them would go in together and cook. They'd all be in the kitchen cooking together, laughing, cracking jokes. All the husbands would come. They'd bring all the kids, and we'd play while the adults were doing their things. And like, even, you know, as a kid, when I think of the salon, I think of family and togetherness, because the owner of that salon, you know, she have get-togethers and invite everyone who worked at that salon and tell them bring your kids, because her kids were there. And today, when I have people come into the salon, I tell them bring your kids, you know, because how I remember, you know, hearing when I was a kid, how do you teach a kid how to act in public if you don't take that kid nowhere out in public to show them how to act? We are examples as parents.
That's a good point. I want to ask you, why do you think a lot of people don't do that today? Like, everybody come together as one and putting things in there.
I think that in cosmetology and barbering in particular, we've been affected by the media probably more than anything else, because I think of during the civil rights era where everyone would meet up at the barbershop or the beauty shop, and it didn't matter what church you went to, because the beauty shop or barbershop was that mutual meeting ground space, and every person was welcome. You know, I remember at Hills, you know, Mr. T cutting hair in the back, and I love listening on Saturday mornings. The guys talk about the Friday night football game and who got the interception and who fumbled the ball, and they go arguing back and forth, but never actually arguing, really getting loud so that they could laugh. One person making a point, and I just love the male camaraderie of the barbershop as well. You know, for me, I couldn't pick or choose cutting hair or doing hair because I loved it all. You know, I still have my Marcel stove and curling irons, and growing up, you know, everybody got their hair pressed. It was all natural. You know, we had relaxers, we had Jerry curls, you know, from Wave Nouveaux to Carefree curls. You were at the shop getting that chemical, whether you were a man or woman. I'm like, I remember doing finger waves on guys during the 90s. Master P was out, and, you know, we had the long hair in, and, you know, guys would have their ponytails or their waves in the front, and long hair hanging down in the back. Men cared just as much about their hair. I mean, think of Luther Vandross with his curl where he was singing his songs and, you know.
Right.
It's a cultural thing. I remember when Anita Baker first cut all her hair off and my mom drove to the other side of Dallas for Miss B. Miss B had to be the one to cut her hair because she knew she was going to give her that cut and that curl, you know, exactly like the celebrity. So it's always been a cultural thing. If we see something we like or we see a change, we want to follow that change if it's a good change.
Correct.
Well, over the years in barbering and cosmetology, they started separating us and picking out who was the best in their opinion. Go back in cosmetology and barbering and look at the change over the generations where there used to be 3 to 6 barbers in one shop cutting hair. Now you go in a lot of the barber shops and there may be 2 or 3 barbers if you're lucky to see them working together. Unless you go to, but if we go to Supercuts or Pro Cuts, they're all corporate and there's like 8 to 10 people working in that one place or that one space, and they're working together under corporate leadership. But together it's hard to find an independent salon like my own where people are working together. So I guess for me it's been the outreach. We've got to remind each other that I love you and I want to support you, you know, and you've got to love me and want to support me. And when we support one another, we can make money together.
Correct.
You know, because the corporations are doing it and they don't have no love for us. None whatsoever. They're getting a large percentage of these stylists' pay, you know, or, you know, because most of the stylists who work for these corporate places are on commission. And when I say, well, I've got booth rental spaces available, well, I don't want to do that booth rent. That's just too high. Well, no, it's not. It's actually saving you a whole lot of money. But the thing is who you work for and who you work with, and if they're out to totally profit off of you. Because some people, it's all about profit. They don't care about people.
Right. You think it should be more of a people coming together as one and then building off each other.
That's exactly how it should be. To me, our forefathers laid the foundation, which was giving us a map with the legend on it. If we all work together, then we all get to take home more money. If we work for somebody else, they take home more of your money.
Correct.
You know, but when it's the same thing of when we were coming up and we would all meet up at the park with our family and our friends. Everybody brought something. One somebody would bring the hot dogs, somebody else would bring the chips, somebody else would bring the soda. There's always some man with a cooler with all the burgers.
Right.
Then we'd be like, well, BYOB. But the thing was, we were happy to be at that lake or at that park together. And, you know, we wouldn't be doing anything but throwing a frisbee or playing baseball or kickball. But we were happy to be together. And there wasn't violence when we were kids growing up. We weren't even thinking about it. Why? Because our kids was there. Don't nobody want violence present when your kids are there. Correct. And it's the same in barbershops and beauty shops today. You hadn't seen or heard of any shootings or violence at barbershops and beauty shops for the most part. That means that we have been running successful businesses. We are the #1 business in the United States. barbering and cosmetology. Black business. There is no other occupation that is above cosmetology and barbering in the United States. Churches don't even beat us. It don't matter if you go into the church or the strip club, you need your hair done.
You do.
It don't matter if you've been going to somebody at their house getting your hair braided or getting your quick weaves or your sewing. Eventually, you're going to need a color, you're going to need your haircut, and you're going to need true professional help. Even that person who doing hair. Until you figure out how to do your own, you're going to need some help making sure you look good when you go out in public.
Is it hard to do your own hair?
Depends on what you're doing. Not for me, not now, but starting out, yes, very much so. You know, starting out, it was hard to do others' hair. I remember when I first started doing hair, I took cosmetology in high school, so I was very timid. Where it came to doing other people's hair in particular. I remember my first boyfriend who let me cut his hair. I started cutting his hair and he made me shave his head. So I was not good at cutting black men's hair at all initially. It took a whole lot of unhappy haircuts for me to get good. And people didn't always express that to me. I think they felt sorry for me, so they didn't always but my husband helped me to master a black man's haircut because he was not happy with a lot of his first haircuts I gave him. And so he would tell me, and he would show me areas that I could improve in. And by him being honest, it helped me to become a better stylist at that time. And it helped me to be better today. Now he don't have to tell me, well, now he ain't even got no hair. So, but now when I'm cutting Jordan's hair, and he hit me and swinging at me and kicking at me and trying to take the cord out my head, he made me invest in cordless edgers and trimmers, you know. It's like you learn from every person and every experience with hair. And I tell you, I've got some awesome shampoo bowl jokes.
Hit me with
one. Usually they're best given when you're at the shampoo bowl. And I'm touching your head and I'm massaging, and somebody, ooh, get the very top of my head. And I say, oh, you want me on top now, huh? And I like when they be done made a noise, ooh, right there, you know. I like that. That to me is satisfying my client. You know, it's a satisfied customer. I say I get to put my hands on you and stay faithfully and happily married.
But that's something that's good about your profession. You're able to get inside. You're able to get in people's personal space.
Exactly, totally. Inside of their personal space, and then when you are in people's personal space, it allows them to let their guard down. So people tend to share more with you.
I believe a lot of barbershops and beauty shops, it's almost like a therapy session if you think about it.
It really is. I've said that many a days. As a matter of fact, my husband has a running joke on that. He says people actually come to me to talk, and while we're here visiting, I just end up doing their hair, and at the end they feel sorry, so they just pay me.
Well, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, cause especially with the energy you have and the way your shop is set up. It's set up to where you come in, you feel at home, you feel welcome.
Well, that was my goal. When I first moved here to East Texas, and I was even thinking about a salon, I visited different salons in Tyler, just kind of peeping my head inside the door to take a look. And most of the black salons did not feel inviting to me at that time. I know we have other salons that are newer now, you know. But for me, I knew that it was a rarity for a black woman to create a really nice and inviting space in this area at that time. And for me, it was really important for everyone who came into my salon to see that I had taste and style, but I also wanted, no matter whether it was a man or woman, for them to feel comfortable walking through the door. So down to the colors that I chose. I didn't want pinks because I didn't want too feminine. For years, I wouldn't put wigs in the front because I didn't want my men to turn around and walk back out the door. But now, because I'm doing wig rentals and making wigs and toupees, it's important to me for people to see all sides of me. Because if you're coming in for just a haircut, we're not going to talk wigs at all.
Correct.
You know, most of the time we're going to be talking politics or what the idiots of the world are doing.
I don't know what the hell they doing now.
The topics on the news. You know.
I just don't understand all the violence going on in the world, though.
I hate to say it or to really truly think it, but I feel like a lot of the violence has been stirred up by the media and the politicians, because our politicians are the ones who control the media, unless it's an outlet like this. We don't have hard-working, average people like ourselves talking about what we see. Unfortunately, if we hear a woman's viewpoint, it's going to be a Marjorie Taylor Greene or a Sarah Palin, and I don't think nothing like them chicks. As a matter of fact, I love to have a sit down with either one of those chicks. Call me. We got some stuff we need to talk about that I don't agree with. And it's a combination of what you're saying and how you say what you say.
I see what you mean, because they say if you control the media, you control the narrative.
Exactly. And to me, I hate to say it too, but those are the mothers that have been put in front of the camera. And in my house, we don't holler at each other like that. In my house, we're not disrespectful to men. And when I see how Marjorie Taylor Greene in particular, how she carries herself, how she speaks to the men around her, I mean, that might work for her, but that's not going to work for me. Not if she come to me talking to me in that way. I'm broke, so I hit her. I ain't got nothing to lose. I wish she would. I'll just say that. And I say I hit her. I'm just joking. But I probably would. I know a younger version of me definitely would. But being a special needs mother, my son slaps me. He slaps my glasses off my face all the time. And I'm like, I can take that. I wonder if Marjorie could.
It's a different thing to deal with just some bad kids running around and then a kid that you really care for.
Exactly. The thing is not hitting back. That actually takes being a bigger person.
It does.
And it takes mental strength. I mean, I've heard stories for years. My son is 21 now. And I've heard stories of abuse and or neglect by parents towards their special people. And some of the stories have made me cry over the years to think how cruel and passionate someone can be, you know. Kids are truly a blessing from God. And I feel like there should be a special place in hell for people who hurt angels.
I felt that go through my soul.
Because I meant what I said.
I know you did. Well, I mean, one thing, even going back to ask about being a mother, what is something that Jordan has taught you?
Jordan's taught me a whole lot. You know, patience is always number one. And I've got to say patience because I patiently waited almost 18 years to see my son not be in a wheelchair all day, every day.
Did they tell you he wasn't going to walk?
Yes. He was given a life expectancy of 7, and we were told that he would never talk, walk, that he would probably just be a vegetable who just slobbered and drooled all day. They gave us no hope whatsoever.
From the jump.
From the jump. When he was 11 months old, the neurologist told us that his life expectancy was 7 and basically to not expect much. And I remember at that moment rebuking that doctor and I did not verbally rebuke him. As soon as he said it, I rebuked him in his office to his face. I didn't say it, but I said it. I rebuked that as soon as the doctor made that comment. I was not willing to believe that my son would only live to be 7 years old. And I was thinking to myself, if I believed everything that every person's ever told me, I would not be where I am today. I actually told my husband that. Even in business, if I had to depend on black people alone, I would have been out of business. The thing is, treat people how you want to be treated.
True.
You know, but it's also believe in God. Believe in yourself. You know, it starts with believing in God to have enough faith to believe in yourself that you can do it. And the devil's good at trying to come in and put doubts in the back of your mind. And everything I've done, those doubts have seeped in. But the perseverance of hope and ideals help to keep me going.
Okay, are you a big church-going person?
I am not a big church-going person. I am a major prayer warrior. But I'm not a big church-going person. Growing up, I was at church every Sunday. I was a member of the choir, the mass choir, the youth choir. I was on the usher board. I followed our pastor everywhere our pastor went. And I remember, Thursday night choir rehearsal, Wednesday night prayer meeting and Bible band. I remember being there just about every time the doors of church are open. Every Sunday, if we had morning worship and if we had to go to a visiting church on the other side of Dallas or here in East Texas somewhere, I was there following my pastor. Wonderful L.W. Wilson and D.L. Wilson.
Well, what's one thing your pastor taught you that stuck with you?
Wow. Both of my pastors. And I say that because D.L. Wilson was my pastor for many years, and L.W. Wilson was his father. So I followed the same family. And so the first thing that L.W. Wilson, who was my great-grandmother's pastor, and my grandmother's pastor, and also my mom and myself's pastor. I was a little girl and he was an old man. And I remember the first thing he said that caught my attention in church was, don't you tell nobody that you go to Sweet Home Missionary Baptist Church and you walking around looking any old kind of way. He said, folks gonna think that the Lord ain't been good to you. And that made sense to me. Coming from an old man who drove a Cadillac, who kept his Jerry curl on fleek. Do you hear me?
Oh, it had it.
And always, it's a sweet, God-fearing old black man who always drove clean Cadillacs, always cared about his opinion. He was hardworking. And I remember when my Uncle James was killed. I remember when my great-grandmother passed. He was at our homes praying for us and our families. And that old man was so wonderful. I remember when he passed and just loving him and his whole family. And I remember when we voted his son in as pastor. And I was so proud of Pastor D.L. Wilson. I'm proud to have been under their leadership, D.L. Wilson said so many things that will always stick with me. I remember recognizing as a youth that this pastor was allowing our youth group to have a youth party at his home. And the reason I believe he did that is because he wanted to keep his eyes on us. He wasn't in the same room where we were dancing and the party was going on. But I remember he came out a couple of times, just like, and shake his head, turn around and walk back. But he knew if he had it at his house, wasn't going to be no drugs and there wasn't going to be no alcohol. But he knew that as kids, we had to have fun and that we were going to dance. And, you know, I believe that's one of the areas where our youth group excelled at church because he kept us together. When we were in church and outside of church, you know, and they did their best to watch us and have their eyes on us, and they weren't pawning us off on someone else to do it.
True. Are the youth the same they are today or no?
I believe that youth are always the same. I believe how we handle our youth is very different. And I also know for us growing up back then, most of us had two parents in the household starting out, you know, at least starting out, you know. And today we have a generation of youth who've been raised by the system. Because when I was in high school, I had friends who were pregnant before graduating high school. So that was that generation of kids who were being raised by grandparents because their parents were still so young. And then I think a lot of those kids who are now having kids, you know, because they were raised by grandparents, they were kind of pushovers. So the kids were able to do what they wanted to do and didn't have as much respect, per se, as they would have had it been their mom and dad. I think of myself getting whoopings with extension cords, boards, and belts, where I look at the kids today and they don't even believe in disciplining whatsoever. Where I have a special child and I will pop his hand when he doing stuff he should not be doing. I am a woman who believes in discipline. And I feel like even for kids to some adults didn't get proper discipline as kids. I personally love the old school Bloods and Crips because they jumped you into them gangs. You had to be strong enough to take a butt whooping because they would rather you fight and get up and walk away from that fight than get shot and killed and never have the opportunity to fight again. And today we have so much shooting in our inner cities, especially because they make guns seem cool. Ain't nothing cool about guns, I mean, except for the fact that you got enough money to afford to go and buy one. But there's nothing cool about pulling a trigger and taking somebody's life and having nightmares from then on to come. Ain't nothing cool about that. It's cool if I whoop the bitch and I stomp that bitch. Because I can talk about how I stomped that bitch and I whooped that bitch. And that's cool to me.
Right.
I ain't never heard a murderer bragging about killing somebody. Because you can't talk about killing somebody after you did it with pride. But I can give you a good ass whooping and feel real good about it.
No, definitely.
Now, that's just me and how I think. Now, the people who make guns not going to like that. Do I have guns? I'm a Texan. I have guns. Yes, I do. I believe in protecting my home. But I don't believe in shooting somebody just to shoot somebody. I've never done that. I've been to gun ranges. I've been on people's private property. I know how to properly handle a weapon. And I feel like most adults should know how to handle a weapon. And I feel like our kids should be taught proper gun handling safety if we're going to teach them that. But being a cosmetologist, what I realize is that most broke people can't afford a gun. The only people that I know with gun cabinets are people with the money to afford guns. Plural, not singular. Multiple. And I'm like, to me, it's the same thing with hackers. I mean, I do her for a living. Ain't no computer in my shop. Am I your hacker?
No.
Or am I your hairdresser?
My hairdresser.
I know art and I know hair. It takes someone who's an expert or a specialist at computers and hacking to be experts in that area. And I'm like, and it don't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. All it takes is a true cosmetologist that cares.
True.
You know? And for me, I love people. I love people. I've got babies of every color and every religion, and I've got mamas that I've adopted of every color and every religion. And I say mamas because I'll ask them for their recipes. I know that if I need to go to their house to borrow something, if it's sugar to go with my Kool-Aid, they got me. From way back. Why? Because they know I'm hard working and I'm not coming to their house to ask to borrow nothing. And if I am, it's because I'm in desperate need of it.
There's an understanding between you and the people you associate with.
Well, I think that that's an understanding between me and everybody who hard working like myself. I feel like that's the same way rich people have unwritten rules, broke people do too.
That is true.
We're prideful. You know, I told someone else, I had the rare privilege of going to Cuba. When President Obama was in office, one of my friends and I, we did a girls' trip on a cruise to go to Cuba. And I remember some of my Caucasian clients at that time saying, girl, why you want to go to Cuba? You know, it's not safe over there. You know, you better be careful. You know, people get kidnapped. And I remember going and coming back and people asking me about my experience and people asking me if I was scared. And I told them I had a special card that allowed me a pass everywhere. I told them it's a black card and a titty card. I'm black and I got titties. I'm a woman. And I'm not going looking for trouble. Ain't no black women in history, nowhere written, ever started no wars. Ever. What do we control that will start a war? What do I control that can help end a war? My mouthpiece. I come from one of the most loving people on the face of this planet. I came out of black pussy. Excuse my French to all who can't handle it. And I got good black pussy. Governor DeSantis, who I don't think done had enough good black pussy in his life. You might want to edit that later. I don't know. But regardless, I'm a cosmetologist. And the Lord is still working on me. He ain't through with me yet. And I'm not declaring to be no pastor. I ain't declaring to be under nobody. Okay, I gotta claim my pastor and my first ladies because I love all of them. But Lord, y'all pray for me in my mouth. The Lord ain't through with me yet. But my real is real. That's what I know. My real is real. I know that I'm moving my hands and my neck and I'm not thinking about it and I'm not trying to. It's a part of my natural swag that the Lord gave me. Everybody don't have it.
They don't. Because you are Donna.
Because I'm Donna. I'm a fucking lady. I like some more too. I love that Monique. I love real people, you know, who show their real selves. And we are all very versatile. Every black woman that I know is versatile. It doesn't matter if she's extremely proper or extremely ghetto. I'm somewhere in the middle.
Well, I mean, one thing I like about you is that you don't shy away from saying how you feel, and you also don't shy away from being who you are. That's why a lot of people try to be somebody they're not all the time.
Right. And myself, I try to be exactly who I am. I am truly as versatile, like I said, you see me and all the hair around me. Life is versatile. I'm a caregiver. I'm a mother. I'm a business owner. oh yeah, I got 2 businesses now. I'm like, one day I might get to help join you with podcast, or I'm like, one day I might have that boutique that I want. I might have 4 or 5 businesses if God bless me before I die, you know. But I want to enjoy it while I'm doing it. I'm going to smile and laugh all the way through it. Why? Because I've had brain surgery. I've had temporary facial paralysis. I have earned the right to say what I want to in my country, which says I have the freedom of speech and press to say what I want to say when I want to say it.
That part.
That part.
You can drink to that?
I drank to that too.
I want to ask you about your businesses. I want to ask you, okay, let me ask you this. When you and Damon, what was really the main pushing for you and Damon to open up the food truck?
The main push for me and Damon to open the food truck was me not believing that our society we live in today would look out for my son's future. And I felt like you felt me when I said that. There is so much going on in the world that we live in today. And medical costs, medical bills to insurance, everything financially being overwhelming. I'm like, our insurance company screwing us every time they got the chance. When me having the salon, I got dropped from my professional business insurance from my old building because they claimed that my shampoo bowls were causing floods. So they kept filing on my insurance, which got me kicked off of insurance. And I was like, I couldn't believe those people had that much power over my insurance and my insurance company that I'm paying for. And I was so disappointed with the insurance company not having my back as a little person. And then my life insurance company, I've been with Reliable Life Insurance for 14 years. And then my agent, whom I used for years, got sick, and they sent in new agents, and the new agents started stealing from my policy. So our life insurance for my entire family had been compromised. And for the first time in 15 years, we didn't have life insurance. I've been kicked off my professional insurance. I moved and I dealt with racism at my old location. And I was feeling overwhelmed and beat down by the system that we live in. I went and I was asking for assistance, and I had the door slammed in my face by a white lady. And for the first time since I was a kid, I wanted to fight. Physically fight. I didn't want to get my gun and shoot her. I wanted to put my hands on her. As a black woman business owner with no help whatsoever. The help that I had, one wonderful man, Mr. Ricky Prater, who worked for me, he worked for me and with me till the day he died. And I thank God for Mr. Ricky Prater. And I had another lady who worked with me, and I loved her so much, and I trusted her, but she ended up letting her license lapse. And I realized then that as much as I wanted to work with other people, outside people, I needed to be working with people I could trust. And there was no one I could trust more than my husband. And I've been disappointed by so many people. And people disappoint you throughout life. I realize that. But for me, insurance, that's a major one. Every person in this country got insurance. When I see all the bad weather from Florida to California, from fires to flood, I think of how many people in this country are being fucked by insurance. And I feel sorry for us all.
And she's like my great grandmother. She used to say when they used to keep her in the house, she used to have cancer a lot. And then she would talk about that they're trying to mess with her, take money out of her Medicare. because they make her keep doing all these different tests and all this stuff.
Exactly.
She didn't need to do, but you knew exactly what it was.
Right. Well, and the same thing, our son's 21 years old, and to me, he's got Medicaid. For years, we always had 2 insurances until my husband left his corporate job, and now we're a small business owner. So now my son's down to 1 insurance. My husband and I have no insurance. Like, literally, we've chosen to lay it all on the line to have our own 2 businesses. For me, it's to leave a legacy behind for my son. So that when we're gone, I don't care if I plan to be put in a jar or an urn. I plan to be cremated. I don't plan to be buried in the ground like the forefathers before me. It's because coming in this world, we spend money, and going out of this world, we spend money. Well, my son won't be able to go visit me at a grave site on his own. He doesn't have the ability to drive. So to me, it doesn't make sense. What am I going to do? Write it in his weekly or monthly thing, take him to the cemetery? No. I believe in living each day to the fullest. So I want him to smile. I want him to be able to go to parks and lakes and ride horses once a month when the weather's nice, and swing in the hammock and get in the jacuzzi or the swimming pool and do the things in life that I know he enjoys. He loves his chickens. And I'm like, it's these little chickens that just make these noise, and he loves the tambourine. I want him to have all the things he enjoys and needs. And I know that while we're alive, we're paying out of pocket for all the testing that he needs. And he gets a check every month, but even with the check he get every month, it still don't cover the cost of all of his medical needs. Doesn't cover his feeding tubes. Right now, he needs more slobber pills. And yesterday, the pharmacist said, well, you can pay out of pocket individually for the pills he needs until Medicaid will kick back in on the 11th. So I was like, okay, well, how much is that? She's like, well, call back tomorrow and we'll let you know the cost. And the sad part is, you know, we have made the choices to give my son the best in life by getting him off of prescription medications. I stopped giving him immunizations 10 years ago.
Why'd you do that?
Because the immunizations were making him sick. We had an average of every 6 months we were in the hospital. My son's had everything from RSV to H1N1, swine flu, pneumonia. He's had 2 and 3 of those at once, multiple times. We were averaging at one point in time like every 2 to 3 months being in the hospital with something respiratory. And of course, I was caring for him the whole time while he had swine flu, H1N1, RSV, and pneumonia. He literally had 3 and 4 of those at once, at least 3 times. And it got to where his skin broke out one time. It got to where we were so worried about his lungs and respiratory issues. And I'm like, why am I going to keep getting these immunizations? And they're supposed to be keeping him from getting the flu. And every year he gets it worse and worse and worse. So when he turned 9, I decided that was the last time that we were getting immunizations. So when he was 10, that was the last time he was hospitalized for anything relating to the flu. We have all had COVID as a family, but like all the other flus and colds, it was just like a regular flu or cold. We knew how to treat it at home. And for us now, our goal is to avoid the hospital wherever possible. Number one, I myself have had brain surgery. So when you get a bill from the hospital that's $200,000, and you know the house you live in ain't $100,000, and you start thinking, how long is it going to take me to pay this bill? And I'm like, my son's got lab work where it's a $300, $350 bill. I'm told to go get my brain scan once a year. That's $800 to $1,500 a year just for that one test for myself. So I make the compromises and I say, okay, am I going to make sure my son gets the scans he needs for his brain through his neurologist, or do I worry about myself? And for me, I'm verbal. I can tell you if I have a headache or if I'm not feeling good. He's nonverbal. He can't tell us that he has a headache or if he's got pain or pressure behind his eyes, where I can. So for me, it was important to get his brain scans on a regular basis, to get him checked up on a regular basis, to go see his gastroenterologist and his specialist, more so than my own. To me, that's part of being a good mother. It's choosing your kids over yourself. It's the same way you came in here and you saw me doing something to my own hair when you were walking through the door. How am I going to care about how I look and not care about what my son looked like? So his hair is always going to be done. And no, we don't wear name brand clothes. You ain't going to catch me in none name brand. You see these handmade things up here behind me. I'm so into handmade, homemade, off-brand folk stuff. Because...
What's that? Over here. Try not to call.
Get you some more. Try not to call.
You telling me? Don't even try not to die.
Try not to die. I ain't gonna kill you. Don't be trying not to die.
Shit, nobody wants to die.
Try not to call.
You see my face while ago. I was about to just cry. I was like, Chris, don't cough. Don't cough. And sure
don't
enough.
be holding that stuff in. You can always edit. I'm proud of you. You put it in your head. Oh, start calling you Waterhead. He'll bumped his head so much. That's Waterhead.
I'm gonna fight that motherfucker down.
It will beat you upside the head.
It sure.
It said, oops, upside the head. I said, oops, upside the head.
Oh, did you want me to get you more water?
Sober. Look, this is me sober. Sure, thank you. But like, sure.
You know, I try to be a gentleman when I can. And the thing about this podcast, I love about it, it's flowing so well. I thought we're hitting on a lot of different points.
I agree. And like I said, things that'll make people wonder, ask questions, and or that are interesting.
We were talking about the insurance with your son. No, we're talking about would you rather have you're more verbal and your son can't be verbal about his head.
Exactly. So that to me is as a mother, as a parent, because my husband and I agree. You know, we talk and we make unilateral decisions, and we've chosen our son to be the number one priority. So putting our son's picture on the side of the trailer, it's all about him. His health care, us trying to leave a legacy when we're gone for people to remember him, because he can't talk. So we have to be as loud and verbal for him in any and every way that we can. And of course, we want it to be in as positive of a way as possible. But our son has a feeding tube, so he's actually never eaten any of the meat that we sell on that trailer. And he's such a sweet, happy guy. He would never harm anybody, and we wouldn't either. Not intentionally. And without them deserving it.
I'm about to say. I'm about to say, somebody mess with you. I'm pretty sure.
Somebody mess with us. So of course, to me, I feel like every person has the right to protect themselves, their family, and their homes. You know? Every person has that right.
Okay, I mean, everyone wants to feel protected. Everybody
wants to feel safe.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about, where can we find this great barbecue at?
Oh, you can find the Great Barbecue usually in East Texas. We are usually here at the salon on Sundays, usually 4 to 7, but we ask everybody to check the webpage because we are new and we are being requested, and we're hitting up different festivals. We're in town, we're out of town, and so we're kind of all over right now. But usually on Sundays, we're here at the salon. Follow us on Facebook, on J Bud's Barbecue, and you'll know our times and locations and when we make it to your city.
All right, got another question for you. How can someone book a wonderful experience with you at your lovely beauty shop?
To come here to Salon Selections with me, call, leave a message on the answering machine. I'm old school with my answering machine and my messages. I hear them when I'm here. But because we have multiple businesses, I'm not always here. So leave a message, 903-593-5040 over here on the Salon Selections sign. Also, I'm hiring. I have spaces available. I'm looking for barbers, cosmetologists, estheticians. If you have purses or you sell anything, call me up. I'll be happy to have you. I'm looking to share my space while we're out on the road.
What's your most pride and joy about each business?
The thing I'm most proudful with the salon would have to be my free haircut clinics that I started 10 years ago. This year will make 10 years that I started doing free haircut clinics initially for special needs kids. And as my son got older, I started opening the door for every age group. And it's a reward for me to meet new parents or special parents. Every year there's always a new group that comes in, and I feel like I'm able to help and or share within the special needs community. So I'm one of the vendors for special needs. The month of November, if you have a special needs family member, give us a call and schedule an appointment, and you'll have private time with us to make sure that that person looks good for the holidays. And if need be, I actually make house calls and office calls as well.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
And then, of course, having my son's picture on side of that trailer. That's the thing I'm most proudful with that trailer. But doing the free haircut clinics and being here downtown Tyler, for sure.
That's good. That's good.
So, of course, I'm appointment only at my salon, but I'm worth it. And especially, my focus tends to be coloring, cuts, hair replacement, dreadlocks. I love natural hair. I do still press with the straightening comb, but I also do shave with the straight razor and shaving cream. I can shape your eyebrows. I do wax. So I've got waxing in my office. We can soak your feet if you need your feet soaked. If you need a private session, I can give you a private session as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Don, for being on the podcast.
It's been my pleasure, Chris. Thank you so much.
No problem. All right.
So, look at you. You did so good. You did wonderful asking every question you asked. Just keep it up.